Exitology. Unlock your profits, unlock your potential show on the #1 business growth radio network on the internet, IBGR, International Business Growth Radio. Great to be back with you. My name is Jason Wally Waldron, author of Exitology, Proven Strategies to Accelerate Business Growth, 3X Your Company Value, and Exit the Smart Way. I'm your host, and today we've been talking about getting to the promised land. And we first talked about some meaning in life type stuff. Aren't you meant for so much more? And it's one of those internal questions that starts to nag at you and really push the business owner towards moving to your next your next level, your next exit of your business. And then we talked about 4 different exits. And we identified that they're by no means exhaustive, but really, we talked about selling to external buyers, selling to internal buyers. What does it look like to scale out, scale up, go passive with your business? What does it look like to go consciously bankrupt? And so as we're building on these today, I want you to think about what is actually happening during this journey. And what you're actually doing is creating a new reality. And I was thinking today a little bit about what would be interesting for you, the business owner, to hear about when it comes to creating your new reality. And at first I wasn't sure. And then I started to think of some of the strange business conferences I've been to. And so go with me on this. This will be kind of fun. It was a couple of years ago, and I was in the desert of Utah, southern Utah, just outside of a rapidly growing area about 100 miles away from Las Vegas called St. George, Utah. And St. George, Utah is a super fast-growing area of the United States. The reason being, I don't know. I have some theories. But I was on a golf course in an amphitheater, sitting in a semicircle with a bunch of other CEOs and business owners. And so far, so good. CEOs and business owners, they go and do retreats. They go to nice places. They like to be outside, especially when it's a beautiful blue sky day. Where it started to get weird, though, was we were sitting around in a semicircle across from an ex-Marine who had a super short, cropped buzz haircut and a beard like ZZ Top. He looked like your classic guru that you would walk up and find at the top of a mountain in a cave and who you would ask questions to. And we had all been brought there by our fearless leader who was facilitating a 2-day retreat for all of us. And the idea was to let go of old patterns and to create space for new patterns. The left brain side of me was like, what the heck does that mean? The right brain side of me said, sounds weird, let's do it. So for the next couple hours, what we proceeded to do was we heard some teachings on sort of, I don't even remember what, honestly. But the gentleman with the beard sat there and invited us to breathe deep and listen to his stories and all this other kind of stuff. And then we all laid down and started to do some very intense, essentially hyperventilating breathing exercises. And it was weird. And it definitely changed how you felt. And it was kind of a lot of fun and sort of a little weird. Like I said, sort of a little scary at times, actually. But the gentleman guided us through a meditation. And so once you kind of let go of all of your, I don't know, cynical brain or skeptical brain, whatever you want to call it, then what happened was you kind of just went on this mental and physical and spiritual journey. And what was maybe strange weird turned into good weird. And you were like, ooh, this is kind of fun. I feel good. I've just been breathing really heavy. It's not like I'm doing drugs or something. And then we were invited to journal. And the types of things that we were journaling, again, I don't have the step-by-step map of what we did that day or anything like that, but the types of things that we were journaling were things like this. It was, if you were to go 5 years into the future, what does your life look like? And it was these kind of questions, right? So what do you want to be in 5 years? So things like, what kind of leader of the business do you want to be? What kind of parent? What kind of friend? What kind of person? Right? Those kind of questions. And you would just kind of journal and sort of reconnect with your future self or really, right? You understand what I'm saying? Your future self, your real self. And then what do you want to do in 5 years? So like what kind of hobbies, what kind of travel, what kind of experiences? Do you want to retire? Do you want to keep working? Do you want to move on and work on another business? Or which of those exits that we just talked about would be right for you? That's another question that we would kind of work on. And what do you want to have, right? So what kind of blood pressure is my favorite question. What kind of spiritual life do you want to have? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? What kind of family life? What kind of possessions? How big do you want your waist to be? Right? Stuff like that. And then how do you want to complete the circle, right? What do you want to give back? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? What kind of time, money, energy do you want to put forth to pay it forward and leave the world better than you found you? And what are we really doing here when we ask these kind of questions? We're creating our new reality. And so when you go back, one of the scorecards that that is often used if you're working with a certified exit planning individual is what's called a personal readiness score. And there's a whole number of questions that you'll be asked if you go through this process, and you'll get graded, and it'll be, for every question, have you given it no consideration? Have you thought about it? Have you done some things about it, but you're below average? Have you done some things about it, but you're above average? Are you best in class? Are you perfect? Is it done? And the thing about this score is once you get rated, then the exit planning advisor will understand really where you're at in a personal readiness sense to create your perfect exit. And so a first step that we like to tell people to take has nothing to do with an official engagement, has nothing to do with really anything except for go take some time off alone. And I've got some good news for you. If you don't want to go to a random golf course with a bearded dude in the middle of the desert, there's this little thing called Starbucks or perhaps your favorite cafe, and you can do this exact same exercise. And what you can do is just break out the journal and go through those questions. And the questions again, what do you want to do in 5 years? What do you want to be in 5 years? What do you want to have in 5 years? And what do you want to give back in 5 years? A potential other question that I've found valuable is, what am I deserving as a reward for all of my hard work? And that's going to be different for everybody because it's not necessarily a monetary discussion there. So if you come to the exit planning discussion with that amount of preparation, I think what you'll see is you're going to be in a much better place because the types of things that you're really looking for as you go on this journey is, a written personal plan, which your personal plan is essentially a business plan for your life, right? And then a personal financial plan. Notice none of this has to do with your business. It's just interrelated with yourself, who's a big part of your business. And you go back to some of these discussions we've had. We're trying to separate you in the business, right? Can't transfer the business to someone else if you're tied to it. Do you have knowledge of the transition process? I applaud you for listening to this podcast and this radio show to start to get there. And so these are the kind of questions that you're going to be asked, and these are the types of things that you want to look for as far as being ready to create your new reality. And I think, especially if you have a family, especially if you have a spouse, you're going to want to bring your key persons, your key people in your family and your personal life into this discussion. And this is why oftentimes as you go through this process, you'll start to bring in a wealth manager. You might bring in an estate planner. You might bring in sometimes a family office type coach, consultant, and your advisory team is really going to be a reflection of yourself, your business, and where you're headed with some of these questions. And then there's also some parts that, and this is where the outside advisory comes in. Do you have a contingency plan, right? Because it's hard to look at your own self. I'll be fine, right? Maybe you won't. And so, do you have the knowledge of the ideal deal structure for you? Going back to those 4 exits, maybe not. And so, what I invite you to do is just take that time away, go grab a cup of coffee with yourself, tea if you're into it, and start that journaling process. And then if you found value in this right here, you can go to Exitology.com, click contact us, and there's a way to start a dialogue with me and my team about this. And also, if you go to Exitologybook.com, you'll find a way to get a free copy of the first chapter of Exitology. And either way, if we continue to resonate with you, we would love to see you join us for a Grow to Exit executive briefing or a similar event that we put on regularly. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. You're listening to the Exitology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show on the International Business Growth Radio Network.